In Turkey, scientists opened a hidden chamber beneath Göbekli Tepe, a place that, by all accounts, should not really exist. And what they found was astonishing. After discovering the first T-shaped stone pillar, they found many more large structures. The air coming from the chamber was ice cold and carried a metallic smell. But the impressive architecture was not the most astonishing part of this place. Their devices failed, and their compasses stopped working. What they found inside was something human beings were never meant to see, because no one had believed that early hunter-gatherers could have built such monumental structures. When a group of scientists in Turkey opened a sealed chamber beneath Gobekli Tepe, they thought it was simply filled with earth. Instead, they found something that left them frozen in place. Only when the German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began excavations did they begin to understand the true nature of the site. The team quickly realized that it was neither a burial place nor merely a religious building, but something far greater. To understand the meaning of their discovery, we must go back to the point where the mystery began. In the mid-1990s, the German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt came to southeastern Turkey to re-examine a small hill that the locals called Gobekli, which means pot belly. From a distance, it looked like any other mound. The ground was uneven and dry, covered with small pieces of limestone, weeds, and a few pottery shards. Most experts had long considered the site unimportant. Many years earlier, a team from the University of Chicago had briefly examined it and concluded that it was an old medieval cemetery. They made a few notes, marked the spot, and never returned. But Schmidt noticed things that others had missed. To most people, the broken stones of Gobekli looked like old gravestones. But to him, their shapes seemed too carefully worked. Some pieces had smooth edges and flat sides that were clearly not natural. He suspected that they were parts of larger structures hidden beneath centuries of soil. Instead of moving on, he decided to dig. With a small team, Schmidt began carefully removing the topsoil. After only a few days, they struck the top of a massive limestone pillar. The deeper they dug, the more the true size of the monolith became visible. It stood more than 5 meters high. The pillars were arranged in a perfect circle. Each one was decorated with intricate carvings of animals: foxes, vultures, snakes, wild boars, and mysterious symbols. The carvings were so precise that even the experienced workers stopped and stared. It was clear that whoever had made them had been highly skilled, and that everything had served a specific purpose. Many years after Schmidt's death, new researchers continued his work. Using modern tools, they examined the site even more thoroughly. Their efforts built on his findings and carried them further. The discoveries presented science with an enormous mystery. To determine the true age of the complex, the team collected charred wood, bones, and other organic remains from near the pillars. These were sent to laboratories for radiocarbon dating to find out when the material had last absorbed carbon. When the results came back, silence fell over the camp. The samples dated to around 9600 BC, making the site more than 11,000 years old. That meant Gobekli Tepe was thousands of years older than Stonehenge or the Great Pyramid of Giza. This single discovery changed archaeology forever. Hunter-gatherers were not supposed to have built permanent structures, certainly not ones requiring stones weighing more than 50 tons to be cut and transported. Yet the evidence stood right before them. A highly organized community with astonishing abilities. News of the discovery spread quickly, and Gobekli Tepe was soon recognized as the oldest known temple in the world. But the more the new researchers studied the site, the more incomprehensible it became. The tools, the art, the precision of the layout, all of it was unlike anything else known from that era. History offered no explanation for how such knowledge could have emerged so early. Some researchers suspected that the age had been miscalculated, while others believed the builders had inherited their knowledge from an even older civilization that has since been forgotten. As debates intensified at scientific conferences, one question soon became central to every discussion. If hunter-gatherers could not have built Gobekli Tepe, then who did? That question led researchers into a territory where history and legend began to merge, forcing them to rethink everything they believed about the origins of civilization. The builders who should not have existed, legends, ideas, and amazement accompanied every new excavation. Most archaeologists believe that Gobekli Tepe had been erected by small groups of hunter-gatherers who gathered there for special ceremonies. Perhaps, they thought, shared religious belief was what first inspired people to organize themselves and form communities. But others disagreed. Such a vast project would have required careful planning, resource management, and strong leadership. It was hard to believe that wandering groups could suddenly have gathered the people and the knowledge needed to cut, transport, and precisely erect stones weighing up to 50 tons. Soon, new and unusual theories began to appear. Ancient local traditions spoke of the first humans made of stone, beings who built structures that touched the sky. These stories told of beings who had lived before a great flood and disappeared after a worldwide catastrophe. Some researchers dismissed them as pure myth, but others suspected that such tales might be distorted memories of real events from a forgotten past. At the same time, scientists analyzing climate and geological data discovered something remarkable. The construction of Gobekli Tepe fell within a period known as the Younger Dryas, a mysterious global event around 10,900 BC, when the Earth suddenly entered a cold phase. For more than 1,000 years, a new ice age prevailed. Many animal species died out, and early human populations shrank dramatically. The world that emerged afterward was completely different, shaped by ice, destruction, and renewal. Then even more extreme ideas appeared. Some researchers outside the academic field, along with supporters of conspiracy theories, believed that Gobekli Tepe was the work of a lost civilization, a highly advanced society that had existed before the Younger Dryas and had been wiped out by it. According to them, this unknown culture may have passed its knowledge on to the people who built Gobekli Tepe, which would explain the sudden appearance of the skills and tools visible there. Most scientists rejected this idea outright, but the mystery remained. How had Stone Age people created something that looked more like the work of experienced master builders than that of hunters? Even computer simulations could not fully explain how such structures had been made. Studies showed that carving and moving the enormous stones with Stone Age tools would have required decades of uninterrupted labor and teamwork by hundreds of people. The new research team eventually came to the conclusion that the site was too advanced for its supposed age. They began to suspect that Gobekli Tepe was not the beginning of civilization, but perhaps the final testimony of an older, forgotten culture. As discussions in universities and newspapers spread more widely, the researchers realized that speculation alone was not enough. If there had truly been an earlier culture, tangible evidence had to be found in the deeper, untouched layers that had been sealed for more than 12,000 years. So the team began digging deeper, beneath the upper layers. They soon found what looked like a sealed floor or storage space beneath the main circle. The limestone slabs were fitted tightly together as if they had been deliberately placed there to seal something below. When the workers carefully lifted the slabs, they discovered rows of flat tablets laid side by side. Each tablet had the same shape and size, showing that their arrangement had been intentionally planned. It looked as though someone had created a secret record and buried it beneath the temple. The tablets appeared to show only ordinary engravings. Faint lines and shapes covered their surfaces. Many of them, however, were too badly worn to be clearly recognized. But the more the cleaning progressed, the more a pattern began to emerge. Some of the engravings had been deliberately damaged. Human faces had lost their eyes, and certain symbols had been cut directly through the middle. It looked as if someone had intentionally destroyed specific parts, while leaving others intact. The archaeologists quickly agreed that this was no accident. The damage had been done deliberately. When the tablets were later examined in the laboratory, even stranger details came to light. On close inspection, a glossy layer could be seen on the stone surface, something that did not belong there naturally. Tests showed that the tablets had been heated twice, once to harden them, and a second time to seal them. This second heating had produced a thin glaze. Some experts believed it had been meant to protect the outer inscriptions, while others thought it had been intended to conceal something inside the stone itself. To find out, specialists carried out imaging scans on tiny fragments broken from the edges. These scans revealed pale lines beneath the surface that differed from the visible engravings. Some linguists present at the site said the hidden symbols resembled very ancient signs, similar to the earliest Sumerian symbols. A few recurring signs seemed to indicate ideas such as binding, enclosing, and guarding. The translation remained uncertain, but the idea that an older message lay hidden beneath the visible symbols deeply unsettled many of the researchers. One tablet stood out in particular. It showed a single human figure between two curved lines that looked like rivers. Above the figure was a short word, neck. Some considered that interpretation too speculative, but the image triggered long discussions. If the interpretation was correct, then the tablets were not merely records, but warnings left by their creators. The way these tablets were arranged would later prove extremely important. Their repeating patterns and precise alignment formed a geometric system that, when transferred onto a map, pointed directly to the center of the main circle of the temple. Many years later, when ground scanning technology had improved, those exact points led scientists to what is now called the hidden chamber. By the end of the week, something became clear to the researchers. The tablets seemed to have two levels of meaning, one visible and one hidden. The outer engravings showed praise and structures, while the inner signs spoke of confinement and fear. If these interpretations were even partly correct, then the builders of Gobekli Tepe had not worshipped their gods there, but had warned future generations. As the scientists reviewed their notes, one thought would not leave them alone. If the tablets contained warnings, then whatever they were warning against had to be hidden somewhere nearby, something the builders had wanted to keep sealed forever. The descent and the chamber of symbols. The team was convinced that the tablets were pointing to something, some kind of marker. The warnings about confinement and restraint had to mean more than mere symbolism. The position of the tablets beneath the main circle could not have been accidental. They marked something important, perhaps even the entrance to whatever the builders had feared. So the researchers decided to examine the ground directly beneath that spot. Using ground-penetrating radar and laser measurements, they searched for cavities or hidden structures. After many days of hard work, a result finally appeared, a void deep beneath the central circle, perfectly shaped, too regular to have been formed naturally. Its edges were smooth and straight, as if they had been precisely carved. Whatever was down there, it had not been created by nature. They began to dig carefully. Each layer of compacted earth was removed by hand, and the deeper they went, the more obvious it became that the structure had been deliberately planned. Then one of the workers struck something round. At first, they thought it was part of a wall. But soon evenly spaced cuts became visible, spiraling downward. It was a staircase descending into the rock. When their lamps illuminated the first steps, the entire team fell silent. The staircase was perfectly even, as if it had been made by a modern stonecutter. It led deep into the bedrock in a smooth spiral. Cold air rose from below. It smelled metallic, like damp stone and ancient enclosed dust. Some scientists thought the smell came from rusted rock or metal deposits. Others felt it was unnaturally fresh, as if the air had been waiting for thousands of years to be released again. Carefully, they descended the staircase. The walls were smooth, without any carvings or symbols, marked only by sharp, precise lines, traces of tools far more advanced than anything known from the Stone Age. After several meters, the descent ended abruptly. A massive wall of mud bricks blocked the way. Every brick had been carefully laid and pressed tightly against the next, so tightly that the wall appeared to be a single block. Soon chemical sensors detected traces of mercury seeping through tiny cracks between the bricks. Tests in the laboratory confirmed the find the next day. In ancient civilizations, mercury was often used in graves and sacred cities, either as spiritual protection or to keep intruders away. Whether it represented a symbolic danger or a real one was unclear. But one thing was obvious. The builders of Gobekli Tepe had wanted to prevent anyone from ever reaching whatever lay behind that wall. The researchers immediately understood that they had to proceed with extreme caution. For several days, they removed the bricks layer by layer to avoid a collapse or the release of toxic substances. The atmosphere was tense. No one spoke while each piece of earth was carefully removed. The deeper they went, the stronger the metallic smell became, and some even reported slight dizziness, probably from the mercury vapors. At last, after hours of exhausting work, a narrow gap opened in the wall. One of the workers shone a flashlight inside. Something glimmered behind it. Not metal, but smooth stone reflecting the light. They had found the entrance to a chamber. Slowly, they removed the final bricks until a round opening came into view. Behind it lay a room about 3 meters high and 10 meters wide. The walls were perfectly smooth, as if they had been polished. There were no tool marks, no carvings, no decoration, only flawless gray stone. In the center of the room stood a monolithic block, slightly raised, almost like an altar. It was made of the same limestone as the pillars above, but its surface was covered with a dark, glass-like coating, the same material previously found on the mysterious tablets. The researchers kept their distance. The air was thicker down there, heavy and cool, and a fine haze floated through the chamber. Some described a humming sensation, as if the air itself were vibrating. When one of the archaeologists approached and held his hand above the surface of the block, he felt a slight current of air, as if the stone were breathing. Instruments registered tiny magnetic fluctuations, and once again the compasses began to behave wildly, just as they had when the site was first entered. At that point, the readings showed no natural explanation. Neither electrical wiring nor geological phenomena could justify the measurements. The team decided to take samples. Small fragments of the glass-like material were removed and securely sealed. Initial analyses showed that it was not merely melted limestone. It contained traces of rare metals, including iridium and platinum, which normally form only under extreme heat or meteorite impact. That raised a new and disturbing question. How had Stone Age people gained access to processes requiring temperatures of more than 4,500 degrees? As the scientists documented their finds, one of them noticed something unusual. At the back of the chamber, half covered with dust, lay a small round stone marked with a symbol, barely larger than a hand. It was the same sign seen on the tablets, 2 curved lines with a figure between them. Beneath it, barely scratched into the surface, was a single word. This time it could be read clearly, NG. A moment of silence spread through the room. No one knew what it was supposed to mean. Was it a name, a place, or a warning? The younger members of the team wanted to keep digging immediately, but the senior researchers decided to seal the room again for the time being until the samples had been analyzed and safety precautions had been put in place. Outside, under the sink sun of Anatolia, the team looked down at the excavation site. Beneath their feet, deep in the rock, lay a chamber whose purpose and origin no one could explain. In the weeks that followed, life at Göbekli Tepe became busier, but also more tense than ever before. The discovery of the hidden chamber was a scientific sensation, but at the same time, a source of deep unease. The Turkish government sent observers. International media demanded answers, and the research team suddenly found itself at the center of worldwide attention. While the samples were being studied in various laboratories, the chamber remained under heavy guard. Only a few people were allowed to enter it again, and all had to wear protective suits. The results of the first analyses were contradictory. The glass-like material covering the monolith contained not only traces of rare metals, but also tiny crystal structures of the kind produced by shockwave events, similar to those formed during meteorite impacts. Some geologists concluded from this that the block may have been made of melted impact rock. But how could such material have been processed in the Stone Age? Others believed it was the remnant of a cosmic event that the people of that time had worshipped or feared. Klaus Schmidt had once described Göbekli Tepe as the stone temple of the first humans. But now it seemed more like a monument to something they had experienced. Perhaps the monolith was not an altar, but a seal, a barrier enclosing something that was better left forgotten. The more data the scientists gathered, the more questions appeared. Magnetic anomalies, temperature fluctuations, and strange sounds were recorded near the chamber. A dull pulsing that occurred at regular intervals. At first, they thought it was caused by vibrations from wind or tectonic movements, but the frequency remained constant, regardless of the weather. A week later, a small team returned to the chamber to conduct a deep scan measurement. It revealed that beneath the monolith, there was another cavity, round, symmetrical, and about 3 meters deep. The data indicated that something metallic lay there, strongly reflecting the instrument's signals. But before they could continue digging, an official stop order was issued. The Turkish Ministry of Culture ordered the work to be suspended until an international commission could confirm the safety of the excavation. In the months that followed, rumors and speculations spread. Some media outlets claimed that the researchers had found an ancient artifact capable of generating electromagnetic fields. Others spoke of a chamber that had not been created by human hands. The scientists themselves remained silent, bound by confidentiality agreements. In internal reports, later partially released, it was said that measuring devices had registered electrical discharges in the immediate vicinity of the block, similar to tiny flashes of lightning. In addition, traces of an unknown carbon isotope had reportedly been found, one that does not occur in any known geological context. These results left many people baffled. Was it possible that Göbekli Tepe was not only a cult site, but also some kind of energy reservoir or technical relic? The hypothesis sounded fantastic, but even the most sober scholars could not entirely rule it out. In a secret